Hey, what's going on, everybody? Navid is here. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur and creator of Virtual Summit Mastery, and we help people just like you exponentially grow your email list, influence, and revenue. And today I have Jen Kem with me, and she's someone I met in Ryan Levesque's mastermind a few years ago, and I instantly saw the value she's delivering, and she's kind of unique the way we're gonna kind of structure this presentation. You might not even have heard of some of this before, and she's gonna talk about brand archetypes and how that can actually help you grow your brand and business with, growing your list and making more money. If you do some of this, you're going to see some big influencers she's worked with as well. Here in the intro, we're going to mix between, you can have a slide presentation and, some on camera, you'll see us as well here. So really stoked for this one. Definitely interested myself to implement some of this. So warm welcome, Jen.
Thanks so much, Navid. I'm so glad I'm here and teaching all of this.
Absolutely. So yeah, maybe we can get in right. I know you have a little intro there. Also, that's why I didn't take too long with this, because I know you're gonna actually share some of this, who you worked with. You worked with some big names, obviously, so you can kind of get into the intro right away, and then we'll get into kind of some of the content as we go here as well.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and share my screen with everyone so that we can jump in. All right. So, hey, everyone. So excited to meet you. I'm Jen Kem, and I help entrepreneurs get seen, heard, and paid by building master brands. And today I'm going to teach you how to reach, impact, and enroll using an incredible strategy called brand archetyping. And I'm going to go through how to use brand archetypes to appeal to your ideal audience and attract your best leads. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. And then Navid, definitely, if there's anything you want to intersect or ask a question about, happy to field and make this a dialogue versus just a straight monologue kind of training. So
for sure.
What are you going to get out of this training today? Well, I'm going to teach you again how to get your brand noticed, because basically when we're online, we are building a trustworthy brand, a brand that people see as credible and also speaks to their need. And so I'm going to teach you using brand archetyping how to gain qualified leads and attract ideal buyers, where you come from a place of consistency and confidence and no confusion from this point forward when you start to use this strategy. So as Navid mentioned up front, I tell people all the time that I am not a spring chicken. I'm a seasoned chicken. I've been building brands for 20 years. And the first half of that was in the corporate world. And the second half of that has been building my own business, which now is an 8-figure company that helps big companies, celebrities and thought leaders, and everyday entrepreneurs. We have 3 different divisions in our company do the things that I'm teaching you today. So it's really the only thing I've done. And I've been obsessed with building brands and how people make decisions. Marketing and branding and gaining leads is all about understanding why people make decisions to opt into anything into their life, not just obviously your lead magnet, but why they choose specific brands or the other, why they choose to engage in relationships with businesses. And so this has been my life story and my life's work. So I'm super excited to unpack it for you today. I started out my career in the early days as a copywriter for one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, Ogilvy. You might have heard of them. And I was very lucky at a very young age to work on big accounts like Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, Nestle, and Microsoft. And so this is also where I first learned of what I'm going to teach you today, and then adapted it to work inside of my business and with my clients. And this is where, as I said, I adapted it to turn into my own proprietary framework called the Master Brand Method, which starts and ends with brand archetypes. And it's a proven model that has been used by thousands of entrepreneurs and many of the Fortune 500 companies that you might even be customers of. And so right now, I want to show you a couple of the people that I've had the pleasure and privilege of working with over the past 12 years in my own business. People like Lisa Nichols. If you don't know her, you should. To me, she is the best motivational speaker in the world. She's the CEO of Motivating the Masses. And I was the brand officer in her company for 3 years, helping her find the intersection between her online and her offline messaging using brand archetypes. You might recognize this face, Steve Harvey, when he stood up one of his new businesses called Act Like a Success, based on his New York Times bestselling book, Act Like a Success. I came in and created all their frameworks and used brand archetyping to develop all of the mechanisms by which the Steve Harvey brand draws in leads, actually converts them from social media to actual leads. You might recognize this face, Oprah Winfrey and the OWN Network. We've worked with their team to develop lead generation strategies for her programming on the network. For those of you that know, when Oprah left her daytime syndication in her TV show, one of the things that frankly they struggled with was moving from traditional media to social media, to new media. And so my company came in and supported them through that transition with many of their programs. Amy Porterfield, a lot of you online know who Amy is. She is the top selling expert on courses and how to build courses. Well, when Amy was leveling up her brand, she brought in our company to work on her with that. Hillary Rushford, if you're on Instagram, you probably know her because she's a big Instagram influencer. She has a signature course that, she moved from selling $10,000 a month to $100,000 a month, monthly recurring revenue, and growing when she shifted and started using some of the brand archetyping strategies I'm going to teach you today. Ryan Levesque, as Navid mentioned, we met through Ryan. I was in his mastermind, and what he teaches obviously is the ASK method. We help reshape the ASK method into a full-scale brand. If you look at what it looks like now, and even some of the other products and services he's launched from 2 years ago, they all kind of hang off the brand strategy that we put together. James Wedmore, who is also kind of first known for his YouTube and video prowess, and now has a full-fledged business company called Business by Design. In fact, James, in his last launch, they did over $1 million in his last launch without affiliates. And he wrote up in his, he did a synopsis for his best clients, and he sent it to me in a box with a gift, and it was so nice. And he said that the number one thing that made that launch happen with those results was that he was so clear on his messaging and his new brand. And it just warmed my heart to know that we could serve people at that level. And then Chris Winfield, he's a public relations specialist. If you don't know him, they call him the super connector online. He does this incredible event called Unfair Advantage Live, and also rebranded his whole company to be called Super Connector Media. And just in the past 7 months working with our company, he's done over $3 million. And that's without actually generating a ton of leads. It's really just becoming more clear on how to present themselves. And now they have such an incredible story. Now they're ready to put lead generation in like a massive way with their marketing director. So this is just a taste of the people that I've had the pleasure and privilege, as I said, to work with. And so when you're watching this, you can know that, hey, like you're listening to somebody who's been called upon internally, and also I have my own brand called Master Brand Method. And so I've also been featured in the media a lot. Some of my articles and whatnot have been like #1 for a week on entrepreneur.com. Forbes wrote a series on our company that was 3 pages long if you printed it, and it was amazing. And in fact, this particular article I used in my lead generation efforts for my company, and it got me a 336% return on ad spend, and had our best launch ever by being featured in this media article. And a lot of it had to do, again, with this idea of brand archetypes and fully embodying our brand messaging and story. Also recently, we were awarded 32 out of 360 entrepreneurial companies in the United States. So, we're really excited about what we do in the world. And actually, this slide is all about what I really care about, which is my family. I get to live in 2 gorgeous, innovative places. Well, Hawaii is not so innovative, but Hawaii and the San Francisco Bay Area, with my 3 children and my 3 dogs and my amazing husband. So that's me. And I just wanted to thank you for giving me a little bit of time, Navid, to introduce myself to everyone, so that y'all know.
I just wanted to share for everyone. I'm actually currently going through some of it because I got access to your Master Brand Method course as well. It's like really good material. We are actually going to implement some of this in our business as well. I mean, we have had a pretty strong kind of branding and how it is, but I think implementing some of these strategies, I think is just going to take it to another level, and you're going to learn about some of this here today as well.
Amazing. I'm so glad that you're getting a ton of value. And I think that before I even jump into the curriculum, just something contextual for all of you listening in to think about is that the thing that sets you apart from every other business that does what you do. And there are many other businesses doing what you do, because with the advent of internet marketing and social media, there's a lot of people who start businesses and are growing businesses using internet tools and strategies. And the one thing that's really going to help you stand out is your story and your brand, right? And developing a brand. And you'll also know that I don't just focus on aesthetics only. In fact, anyone who thinks branding is just about aesthetics doesn't understand the power of it. And so the master brand method is looking at the whole thing, and being, again, a magnetic brand. That's our goal for you. So enough about me. The thing that we're going to accomplish today is figuring out what's going to make your business unique, again, and stand out in the marketplace, using the power of story and the power of brand archetyping. So these are the 12 master brand archetypes. And Navid, a lot of people, ask me, because archetypes is not something that I invented. Okay, archetypes was first coined by the social psychologist Carl Jung, who a lot of people also know is kind of the father or the godfather of the Myers-Briggs personality test. He really is the godfather also of the hero's journey, and that type of thing. So in storytelling, whether you're watching it in movies or you're buying brands, Carl Jung's philosophies and ideologies are baked into the way that people are influenced, okay? And how you can use persuasion, and what we're talking about here is ethical persuasion, right, to attract people into your company, your business. And so these are the 12 master brand archetypes: the maverick, the ruler, the alchemist, the creator, the sage, the provocateur, the explorer, the healer, the hero, the muse, the advocate, and lover. And I'm super excited too, because Navid invited me to give you something that will help you get your archetype for free from us. So that's coming. So stay tuned, because it's a really powerful exercise. So first, as I said, it was not invented by me. It was invented by Carl Jung. And what an archetype is, and this is going to sound a little bit woo, but it's actually not. It's very science and psychology based. But basically, Carl Jung's theory was that each one of us has a personality energy pattern that makes us look to things to believe in, okay? And when you know what your driving archetype is, it allows you to access personal power and show up, in this case, your brand, very powerfully and confidently. And that doesn't matter if you're an extrovert or an introvert, if you're loud or you're more soft-spoken. It's not about that. It's about that people believe you when you message them, okay? So I want you to think very simply that an archetype is really just the personality of your brand. It's much deeper than that, but I think this is the best way to describe it for most people. And it's the nucleus or soul of how you want to be seen to the outside world. And there's also, like anything else, actually like life, there's a duality in your archetypes. So it shows both the positive aspects of your brand and how it's showing up, and then it also can alert you and make you aware of the shadow side of how your personality is seen by others. And what I mean by that is, for example, and I'm going to talk about my archetype in a moment, but I'm a ruler archetype as my dominant. So is Ryan Levesque, by the way. And on the flip side, on one side, people see us as the expert, the CEO, the person who's like, has all the answers, right? That's how our brands are shown off in the world. But on the flip side of it, as visionaries, we can be controlling, we can be perfectionists, we can be caring so much about structure that sometimes we forget how visionary we are. And so when you take your brand archetype assessment, you'll find out what is how you want to like really invest in how you show up, and then also the things you not want to avoid, but you want to be aware of, so that you're not crippling your lead generation activities. Okay. So let's get into why this matters about list building, because I know that Navid, that's one of his like superpowers, is helping people and connecting people to other people who do this well. And this helps you grow your list, because when you are confident and clear with what your brand stands for and what it does, the problems that it solves, people will automatically be attracted to you. The right people will be attracted to you. And so it helps you communicate the core reasons people will follow you. It also helps you be more succinct in how you communicate what you do, and shows off what your experience is and all of that, and helps you tell your brand story better. And it also highlights your recurring passions. And this is really important because, again, social media and the internet, there's a lot of noise. We live in a time where we're overstimulated, right? We are berated with marketing messages. And that's not just on the internet. Literally, if you get in your car, I mean, right now I'm broadcasting to you on an Apple MacBook Pro, right? We're surrounded by brands. And so it's really important that if you want to stand out, you have to cut through the noise, and brand archetypes help you do that. So the bottom line is that when you know your brand archetype, but most importantly, a brand archetype mix, which I'm going to get to in a moment, you'll know how to show up, and you won't be afraid as much to be seen or do it wrong, because you can't do things wrong when you're using this method. So whenever I teach how to build a brand, I want one of the things that you understand is that this is where a lot of people mess up lead generation and marketing overall, is that they think that they matter to the consumer. Okay, I don't want to be harsh, but this is true. Consumers don't care about us. They don't even care about our solution. They care about themselves, right? And so they also, by the way, we as people are operating the world outside of the internet too, right? In fact, most of the decisions that we make, we might be influenced by the internet, but we're actually being influenced by bigger brands. Brands like Coca-Cola, Starbucks, Toyota, Tesla, you name it, Apple, right? We're being influenced by that, Whole Foods, right? And you'll actually have better lead generation results if you model the models instead of modeling your competitors. I hope that you write that down because it's not in my presentation, but a lot of the ways that people are doing things is they're modeling other people that are in the same business as them. And actually what really influences the masses, and when I say the masses, your masses, not 7.7 billion people in the world, but the 1,000 people that you want to reach to know you, trust you, and then buy from you, you have to understand how they operate in the world. And most of what they're being influenced by are by other brands who are living in their brand archetypes. So that's one clue how to use the brand archetypes in a powerful way to shift the way that you do your lead generation. And every big brand uses this model. So even if they're not hiring me, Navid, to do their brand strategy, this particular method, as I said, I learned it at Ogilvy when I worked there I'm going to age myself now, but 20 plus years ago. And they are using this to create the biggest campaigns in the world. And so you can take a little piece of it to your internet business or your online business and ask yourself again, how are people using it?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. This is so fascinating to actually see what really big brands are doing, and then implementing some of this rather than just staring blind at your kind of internet marketing friends or online marketing, and actually looking at bigger brands like what you shared here. I mean, I think not too many people are actually doing this. And if you do, you can obviously stand out. It's going to be quite obvious that it's easier to do that.
Well, when I think about the people who I even showed you a glimpse of some of our clients, right? And when I think about when they even move out of just the basic lead generation strategies that are taught every day to this, that's when you start to gain massive influence. And because you're now what I call brand jacking the bigger influences in our world. And that's why I said up front, I geek out on human behavior, because that's what really gets people engaged. And because now there's so much competition and noise on the internet, it's so important to, again, stand out. And then also to feel like, oh, that feels relevant because it's similar to what I care about in my life and my lifestyle versus what other people are trying to change your behavior in lead generation, right? Actually, if you move in and brand jack bigger brands that influence their daily life, you're going to start to see even more worthy leads to come into your funnel, which is really what we want, right? We want people who aren't just curious. We want people who are committed to seeing it through. So that's the big issue that I currently see for entrepreneurs, is that they're not using this properly or at all. So I always get excited when I can share this with audiences like yours, Navid, because I think that this is a turning point in terms of growth for a lot of businesses online, because a lot of times you're taught, oh, those bigger strategies don't work for direct to consumer marketing or internet marketing. And I would argue that that's absolutely not true. In fact, I think the biggest names online are using systems like this, but they're just not teaching it because they're teaching what they know, if that makes sense, right? So this is juicy, if I do say so myself, and because I really think that it's not being taught online. So, I
just wanted to share one thing. I mean, you're definitely the only one talking about this for, that I have spoken to. And I heard you talk more about this a little bit at Ryan Levesque's mastermind. You gave a presentation there, and now you obviously have expanded since then. That was a few years ago now. So absolutely really interesting to bring it to kind of the summit and other people in my audience as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so marketing is what gets you seen. So if, we know that it's pretty much everything, right? In terms of like building our business, building our credibility. And so if you want your marketing to feel authentic and you want it to have long legs and be relevant, you need to use Brand Archetypes in it, is my recommendation to you. So as I said, these are the 12 archetypes. And what we really focus on, you might even go out and you could Google like Brand Archetypes, and there are quite a few assessments and quizzes. There are a few that I know of. And nothing's bad, but what I can say that makes my theory or my method different is that we don't just look at your dominant or your primary archetype. We look at the mix of the top 3 to use as informants in how you message your brand. And so I have a better question that I want you to ask yourself when you're building your own marketing language and whatnot. I want you to ask yourself, what's your AIM, AIM? And that stands for Archetype Influence Mix. And so in my method, we take those top 3 archetypes and we look at the dominant, the intrinsic, and the intuitive archetypes. They're kind of like a triangle. And the dominant is your lead singer, I like to say. If you all know who John Bon Jovi is, so he's the lead singer of Bon Jovi. I would say, think of your dominant archetype as John Bon Jovi. And then there's Richie Sambora, who everybody knows is like his backup. And there's this other guy that nobody knows his name. But without him, there's no Bon Jovi sound, right? And so that's the difference of my philosophy and method over some of the other things you might see on the internet, because we're not one-noted businesses. We're not one-noted brands, right? A brand has to have flavor. It has to have depth. It has to have meaning, and for it to have long-term impact on the people that you're attracting into your database or your company or your business. And so that's what I want you, as I'm describing each one of the archetypes, because I want to give you a flavor of each one of them so that you can probably go, oh gosh, that really sounds like me. That really sounds like who I am. Oh, and that's one more thing. Let me go up one more slide. Is that a lot of people ask me, is the archetype mix for me or is it for my company? And the truth is, it's for you and your company. So what I mean by that is, if you, let's even partner with another person in your business, the person's aim that drives the messaging for the company is the visionary, not the integrator, not the COO, not the support team. Okay. Even if that person is your business partner, the visionary is what people are enrolled into, right? It's like when you think about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is a dominant alchemist brand. Okay. His job was to create the vision, but Steve Wozniak, who founded Apple with him, was the engineer, right? He'd be considered a sage archetype, okay? And they didn't build Apple around Steve Wozniak. They built it around the vision that Steve Jobs has. And even though Steve Jobs is gone now, Apple is still an alchemist brand because he was the founder and the visionary. So just to be clear, when you have the opportunity to take my assessment, which I'm going to give you at the end, which I'm super excited to give you, that's a big question that I get in Navid. So I just wanted to give people context.
Sure.
So now I'm going to jump into the different archetypes. And as I said, even before taking the assessment, I want to give you kind of a taste of what you can expect from each archetype. And then you can kind of jot down as I'm teaching you this, oh, I think I might be a maverick, or I think I might be a sage, or I think I might be a healer. And then you can verify that when you take the assessment. So let's first talk about the maverick archetype. This is the rebel brand, right? This is the brand that leads through radical transformation, and they hate the status quo. And when they market, they're very provocative. They could even use F-bombs, but they don't have to, but they're very provocative and don't give an F type of attitude inside of their marketing. They also use brave and unconventional means, very different than what everybody else is doing, that moves people out of inertia and into intention. I think a great example online right now, who's like one of the most popular brands online, is Gary Vee. He is absolutely a maverick archetype. And so everything he does is about saying something different than everybody else says, or he also pounds it in that hustle is everything, working hard is everything. And it's very opposite from the other side of online marketing, which is very lifestyle brand focused, right? So he's just like, no, I live over here. I don't believe in that lifestyle shit, right? And he just goes for it. So power words for the Maverick are bold, progressive, risk-taking, provocative, bravery. People always kind of like, oh, Maverick brands show people what's possible for them, because they're not courageous enough to do it on their own, right? And so if they can keep just going and going like that, they create these huge communities of followers. In the bigger world, in the master brands, Harley Davidson is probably one of the most, known maverick brands out there. So that's an example. The ruler archetype. I mentioned earlier that that's actually my dominant archetype. And the ruler archetype is all about earned experience, not purchased experience. So the ruler, you'll find, will show the years of experience. They'll show the years of the depth of knowledge. They're very direct because they believe in the nobility of order, and that humankind is best served when order is present. Okay, so you'll find that rulers have a lot of structures and frameworks, right? And the most powerful ruler brands show that the prosperity of their business is very much tied to the prosperity of their customers. And so it's a win-win. So I think that the best example in the marketplace, I just talked about one of our fellow friends and mentors, and for me, a client, I think also Ryan's participated with you. Ryan Levesque is a ruler archetype. I'm a ruler archetype. And in the bigger world, American Express is probably the best known, because when you look at American Express versus Visa and Discover Card and MasterCard, Amex is definitely more of a luxury brand, if you will, but they're just the same as the rest. They've just positioned themselves as more structured and more benefits driven than the rest of them. The others look like commodity, and Amex looks like its own brand. So that's an example of the ruler. The alchemist archetype is a change agent. They are also known as the wizard or the magician. They use transformative and catalytic experiments to get what looks like to everyday people magical results. They blend science and spirit and soul very well so that they can show different lenses of what's possible, but their output is extremely simple and elegant. So therefore, I talked about Steve Jobs and Apple being the model for an alchemist archetype, because if you think about it, Apple's just cool, right? You go in, everything's simple, simply packaged, simple logo, but everything that they've done inside of their software and their hardware feels transformative. Inside of like the online space, people you can think of are like, I just think of Mind Valley as an example. If you all are familiar with Mind Valley, they have turned personal development to be cooler, very like new age, but not old and crunchy. And frankly, most of personal development until Mind Valley came on it felt very kind of like the old guard. And Mind Valley came in and simplified and democratized personal development for people. And so that's an example of, as an alchemist archetype, if you are dominant in that, you want to think about those types of things to message. The creator archetype is the innovator. They manifest the next big movement. They are intensely devoted to problem solving through tangible yet expressive problem solving invention. So the biggest known entrepreneur that I think of that's a creator archetype is Richard Branson. So his highest value is fun and testing different ideas and then leaving it to other people to implement, right? And so Richard Branson is a creator archetype. His Virgin brands or creator archetype, but in his archetype mix, I guarantee you he has creator, maverick, and provocateur, which I'm going to get into. That's his actual mix. And even if he didn't take the assessment, I can tell based on my research. And then in a bigger scheme, I think of Lego as the creator archetype. Like there's building blocks, but they're fun and they're tactile. So if you're an entrepreneur who's attracting people that you want to show them that they're building blocks to whatever they want to create with you, that's the best way to create an opt-in, frankly, that supports them. The sage archetype I mentioned earlier, they're the truth seekers. They're the ones that are fact-based, okay? They use rational and thought and mind and logic to make decisions, and also to present themselves as the most credible. I like to say this about sages. Sages believe they're never wrong, and rulers believe they're always right. And there's a difference. So like sages are constantly trying to find evidence and showing their evidence to consumers that they're not wrong. So you should trust them. Okay. And so it's all about trust for the sage. So in this space, I would say that like one of the preeminent sagey, in fact, Ryan Levesque has sage as his secondary archetype. So anybody in this space that kind of like focuses on that would be your person. A lot of personal development are actually sages. So Wayne Dyer, Ariel Ford, Deepak Chopra. But like the biggest sage, I think, in mainstream is Oprah Winfrey. And also, when you think of Audi, like if you look at the Audi brand, they're also part alchemist, but they're sages because they try to show like that they're highly engineered compared to their competition, BMW or Mercedes-Benz. So they lead with technology, right? And crispness and cleanness, versus the others lead with like fancy. And so that's an example of the sage. Provocateur. This, I'd say, like this brand is like a ruler and a maverick had a baby. They are the entertainers, okay? They are the ones, like if you see social media influencers who lead with comedy, they have provocateur typically in their archetype influence mix. They're wicked smart, but they're wicked funny, and they influence through using both. And so an example is Marie Forleo. If you all are familiar with her brand, she's pretty much like the biggest female-led entrepreneur online, really. And her content has that mix of provocative and funny with wicked smart. And then in the bigger world, actually insurance agencies, surprisingly, right, use this archetype to lead. So for example, if you watch a Progressive commercial or you watch a Geico commercial, their entire advertising campaigns are based on funny. You know why? Because they don't want you to be thinking about the losses that they're helping cover for you. They want you to think about what's delightful about covering your butt, And so insurance agencies use the provocateur messaging to enroll more people into their business. The explorer archetype is the #1 archetype for entrepreneurs, Navid. So I've done, thousands of entrepreneurs have taken my particular assessment. And we found that 40% of the people that come in, they have explorer as their dominant archetype. And it makes a lot of sense because entrepreneurs have so many ideas, right? They're multi-passionate and they hate being in chains, right? They want freedom. And so this is the archetype that speaks through the lens and the language of adventure, exploration, no limits, very lifestyle brand focused, and boldly inviting others to go on the journey with them. But they also have some structure in terms of like, hey, there are no boundaries here, but I have a map for you, right? So there are a lot of brands that influence our everyday life, like Starbucks and Jeep. In fact, even the United States of America, the actual country that we're in right now, is an explorer brand. And so when you're an explorer brand, it's all about, again, let freedom ring. So I think of online, Kate Northrup, if you're familiar with her, the guy who runs World Domination Summit, Chris, I can't remember his name, but I do know he's definitely embodies the explorer archetype in his marketing. And I tell you these things so you can study these other brands. Because here's the thing, like if you're an explorer archetype, go study what Jeep is doing. Go study what Amazon is doing, because they're the same archetype as you, and they're the ones influencing people more than you are. And so I always tell people, again, study the models, don't study your competitors, because that'll give you the advantage. The healer archetype. So this is the nurturing archetype. And they create structure, very clinical way, but loving way to support other people. So in the bigger world, like Dove, the Dove brands, the Campbell Soup brand. But in like the online world, people like Eckhart Tolle or Marianne Williamson are examples to take a look at their marketing. I mean, Marianne Williamson is now, running for president. And although she's likely not going to win, or whenever you're watching this video, she probably won't win because she doesn't have that type of mass appeal. But the way that she moved into a presidential nominee is a fascinating advertising campaign you should study if you're a hero archetype. Because here's the thing, politics and marketing are pretty much the same thing. Okay. Then there's the hero archetype, which is the second most popular archetype for entrepreneurs. Okay. And that is, they're the heroes, like, they're the Superman and Superwoman they're trying to save people from themselves, right? So they're determined, courageous, and transform the world into purposeful living. And their whole idea is like, we want to solve for the greater good, right? They want it to be for everyone, but they also have heroes complex, which is their shadow. And because they're trying to help everyone, they forget to manage their own stuff. So if this is you as a visionary, one thing I'd like you to look out for is when you're doing even your lead magnets, when you're asking people to opt in, the appeal will be that I can save you. That will be the appeal in the message. But you got to be careful once you get them in there because they're going to be expecting a lot from you. So you have to find that. That's why your other two archetypes in it are important, because you have a very strong front-facing message. But the other two archetypes that run you, which could be any of the ones that I just went through, those are probably going to keep them in and make them hold accountability for themselves so that you're not saving the world every day, because these are the kinds of brands that also tend to have problems with that. So in the world that we are living in, the internet, Lewis Howes is probably a really good example of a hero archetype. Todd Herman, maybe, as a hero. He's like a hero and a sage. But in the bigger world, Nike, the US Army, FedEx is a big one, because FedEx was the first company to ever guarantee they would get your package overnight. That was what made them different from the US Postal Service or or UPS. And when they did that, they changed the game in shipping. And that's the hero. It's like, oh, wow, thank you. You're going to get me my Christmas gifts the next day. I'm going to choose FedEx, right? And so they're seen as the hero. The muse archetype is actually this is the archetype that inspires us in nostalgia. They inspire us to imagine a greater world, and they do that through optimism, trust, hope, and charm. And the number one brand in the world, the number one global brand in the world, is not a technology brand. It's not Facebook. It's not Google. It's not Apple. It's not Amazon. The number one brand in the world is Coca-Cola. Wow. And the reason that it will always be probably number one, even though obviously people are not liking sugar anymore and all the other things, Coca-Cola is not stupid. They know that's why they've bought a lot of brands. They own Dasani, they own vitamin water, they own a lot of different categories of beverages. And the thing about what they do is that Coca-Cola is available everywhere pretty much in the world, whereas technology is not yet, right? And Coca-Cola is a muse brand. A lot of people don't think that, but Coca-Cola invented Santa Claus. Did you know that, Navid?
Had no idea.
Yeah.
That's
so
incredible.
They invented Santa Claus for the purpose of selling more Coca-Cola. Okay. So what they did was they realized that obviously everybody gathered around Christmas because it's, especially in the Western world, because of the Christian faith. So back to like looking at religion, looking at politics. Don't shy away from this if you're serious about building your brand, because this influences the world, right? So they realized that they needed a character to really tie it all together. And they invented this chubby white man with a red and white suit to always think about Coca-Cola. And at Christmas time, they also invented how polar bears are gentle creatures that are really cute to look at in their advertising. But the truth is that polar bears are the most vicious bears out there. They actually hunt humans. But notice how a brand like Coca-Cola can turn those advertising concepts into something that feels like, oh, it feels so nostalgic. It feels so good to think about, Christmas and fluffy animals and stuff like that. They use that as a muse. And so if you're a muse archetype, how are you creating people to like look at their memories with fondness? And you'll have like a really juicy opt-in if you can figure out a way to do that, and it's your dominant archetype. So examples are online. Alexandra Franzen, maybe you don't know who she is, but she's one of like the top copywriters online, and she doesn't even have social media on purpose. And yet she has a 7-figure business because she, through her writing, she's so delightful. She's one of those people that you want to read when she sends it into your inbox. And then in the bigger world, companies like, as I said, Coca-Cola, Volkswagen, like the Volkswagen Bug is a very, or the Volkswagen Bus is also a very muse archetype. And then like Method, which is a dishwashing liquid, but their entire marketing is about that, you know, hearkening to a better time in your life. That's what the muse does. Then the advocate archetype is what I call like, it's similar to the hero, but they're not interested in saving people. They're interested in people, everyday people becoming leaders. And so they're into empowering communities, right? They are igniting communities through the common good, but not trying to be the saviors like the hero is, okay? And so examples of this online, so they basically democratize whatever industry they're in. So they're like, here, I use this, so you can all use it too. All of us can use this. So Pat Flynn is a great example. If you all know who Pat Flynn is, he's like a podcast expert, also like shows you how to make, his company's called Smart Passive Income. He's delightful. People don't not like Pat. And part of it is because he fully shows up as an advocate. It's like, hey, this is what's working for me. You can do it too. Like he even shows his revenue every month in the report that he gives if you opt in to his report. So that's an example of really smart lead generation and democratizing access. That's what a great advocate archetype will do. And then in the bigger picture, Tom's Shoes is a great example. Any social brand. So Tom's Shoes is kind of like, you buy a pair of Tom's shoes, they give a pair of shoes to a child or a person in need, right? So you feel like you're part of the movement by buying things, which is like so making capitalism social, right? So that's the advocate archetype. And then the lover archetype is, there's a lot of beauty and pleasure in this brand. And so it's all about deep connection and affection, and everything is gorgeous and intimate. And that doesn't mean just sensually, okay? That means I have lover as my third tier in my archetype. It's about that when people connect with you, they feel like you see them. Like they feel very seen by your brand, even if they've never met you in person, or they're just meeting you on camera for the first time, right? And so examples of that online are companies like Danielle Laporte or Mama Gina. Their writing really like pulls you in to feel like they're just speaking to you. And in the bigger case, like Haagen-Dazs or pretty much any Italian brand, Navid. Like all the Italian brands are very lover archetype dominant. But companies like Hallmark, right? Like Hallmark, the greeting cards, like you think of like you're giving love to somebody when you give a Hallmark card, right? So that idea for the lover archetype. So those are the 12 archetypes. And I'm just going to show you how to use them right here in this last part. But any insights, Navid, or do you want to share with people what your archetype is?
Yeah, but this is so interesting, actually. I mean, I've just kind of, I've heard some of this before, obviously, when you gave this presentation a little bit, I mean, a similar one during Ryan Levesque's Mastermind. And I was like, always, I mean, the fact that you can be many, I think I don't fit in just in one, but obviously one got to be dominant. Is that kind of how it is? Like, so one is the dominant one, and then you have maybe one or two other ones that are kind of underneath. Is that kind of how it works usually?
Exactly. So right here on this slide, perfect transition is your dominant archetype is the main messaging vehicle for your brand, right? So most of your messaging wants to be filtered through that dominant archetype. But I look at the intrinsic and the intuitive archetypes as, again, like it's almost like salt and butter, right? So everything is better with salt and butter, right? So it gives your brand flavor. It shows a different dimension of how you serve your audience. And it helps people see, again, a deeper way to look at what you offer them. And then they can align with whatever their story is going on, right? to your story that you're telling in your messaging and how you invite people into your community through your opt-ins and the way that you build your list.
Yeah, I think it's so smart that you're actually gonna look at this and study kind of the bigger brands too within your archetype, and then actually defining, let's say, your opt-in, because that's kind of how you tie it into list building, right? You can actually use this and then actually create a more compelling lead magnet or video series or whatever that is, right? So it feels kind of really authentic to you, and also your people, they will connect more with you as well. So I think this is really cool, actually, the way, I don't see many people, I think you're pretty much the only one really talking about this, at least in our world. At least I don't know of anyone else really going in depth like you are with this stuff.
Awesome. Good. So as I mentioned, you have 3 parts to your AIM or archetype influence mix. And for me, it's easier for me to use an example that's mine, right? Because then I can speak to it pretty clearly. So my dominant archetype in my businesses is ruler. And again, that's the top. So the ruler is known as the CEO, the leader, or the expert. And one thing I want to mention is there's no such thing as a more powerful archetype. So all 12 of them are extremely powerful. The main thing is to know that you want to go in and really test out the language without making judgment. Oh, because for example, as I said, Coca-Cola has the most brand equity in the world, but they're the muse. And a lot of people think that would be like a weaker archetype. It's softer, right? No, they actually use it to their advantage to sell more product. And so there's nothing better than the other. So ruler, although they're known as a CEO, leader, and expert, the rulers are also in some cases hated a lot, right? In terms of like, people are like, I don't want to follow rules. I want to be free. And especially in entrepreneurship. So even for me in my business, when I teach entrepreneurs this theory, some of them are very rebellious. Like, I don't know, I don't want to be called something, or I don't want to have a certain personality. And part of what I have to do as a ruler is to show them how this could be beneficial to them. And here's why, and to try it out, right? Try it out because at least it's tested and it's proven. So why don't you try it out before you rebel, right? So there's that. Then the explorer is my secondary archetype or my intrinsic archetype. And everything that we do, we want to show you that there's another place you've never been before, including this work. Because to your point, Navid, not just in internet marketing or online businesses, but even in traditional businesses, a lot of them don't have access to this. Most of the big brands that have built, I'm not joking, billion-dollar advertising budgets with advertising agencies are the ones using this. And that's why I wanted to bring it down to our level. And so as an explorer brand, we want to show you that there is a path, right, that's available to you that could even set you apart even more in your industry. And then my intuitive archetype is lover, which is high touch, generous, and inviting. So I'm big on, we work with a lot of, high tiered clients, but we also have a program called Master Brand. And people tell me all the time that even if they're listening to me on the videos, they feel like they're in there with me, like I'm speaking to them. And so whenever I construct my lead magnets, Navid, all the way to my programming, I'm always going through this filter of ruler, explorer, lover. Like, am I staying on brand, right? Where are the parts where I'm confusing them with my messaging? And so that's, it's honestly a lot deeper. That's why taking the Master Brand program helps, because it's not just knowing it, right? It's knowing how to use it, obviously, in particular to your business. So as I said, I've used this with thousands of entrepreneurs. And right now we work with companies like Microsoft, Oracle, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We work with a lot of big companies as well using this method. And it's, 20 years in the making. I modified it to support everyday entrepreneurs because I knew that no one was teaching it. And I felt like what an advantage that entrepreneurs could have if they used it. So as I said, what makes this model different is that it's the mix that matters. So this archetype influence mix, your aim, is what matters. The fact that you're a multi-dimensional brand, not just a one-note brand, matters. And as I said, you can Google it and all that, but what's great about what we do is that we've tested this. We actually got it certified by the University of Monterey as a great diagnostic to help you at least know what the cornerstone of your messaging is. And so I like to say, instead of saying ready, aim, fire, in terms of your marketing, I say aim, ready fire. So know where you stand, know your foundation, and then like, let's build the messaging and the lead magnets and then the programming on top of that. So there are actually over 1,300 different mixes. So again, your dominant is the most important, but like there are 1,300 different ways that you could end up being this. That's why it is very highly unlikely that everybody in your circle is going to have the same archetype influence mix. And that's a good thing because it's what makes you different. And what I love about using it is you get to apply it to all of these things that we're all trying to do with our online businesses, right? Which is ultimately we want to, when we speak, we want to speak through that filter. When we do video, when we do live streaming, when we do our emails, our social, our sales pages, or if we're writing books or whatever we're doing, we want to be able to reach, impact, convert, and persuade, our people. And when we do it through the aim, it comes off more authentic. And also it actually fuels us, Navid. Like if you're part of what exhausts us, besides not having good systems in our business, is that when we always feel like we got to keep up with the Joneses, right? We always got to keep up with whatever somebody else is doing. And when you get really, hearkening back to when I just first opened up this training, when you get confident in your aim, it'll just start to come naturally to you how you describe your business, what the value of working with your company or taking your programs are, once you really start using it in an active way, and then start to also test the messaging through your lead magnets and see how they land better. So I have an exciting gift for everyone. Navid has been so kind. Usually this particular report costs $250, and it's the full reports of your Archetype Influence mix. So you take the assessment. I'm going to tell you it takes about 20 minutes. And it is a real diagnostic. It's not some fake for entertainment only quiz, okay? It's not just to get your email address. It's actually a real diagnostic. It's the one we use with our big companies and our high profile clients that you saw up front. We want to give it to you because you're a friend of Navid, and I'm a friend of Navid now, and it's super exciting. So you can go to masterbrand.me/Navid, and you'll take the assessment. I ask you to please take it from a place of where you are now, not where you want your business to go. It's just where you are now. And also for you to do it while you're not inebriated. I know that sounds silly and crazy, but it's true. You want to stay focused while you're taking the quiz and finish it all the way to the end, because you have to be able to take it. You can't start over. Well, you can, but you'd have to get a new password and stuff. So really take it when you have time. Okay. So that's it.
No, this is awesome. This is great. And I don't know if is this updated for now? I took this I haven't taken it recently, but I remember when I took it, I believe when you did this for Ryan's mastermind, I think I took it. I believe kind of what makes most sense for me is kind of ruler, explorer, maybe creator or something like this. I haven't I don't know the third one, but I think it was something like this the last time I took it, ruler, explorer, because I'm always that's kind of the way I am. And then I think creator would kind of fit in it because I always want to kind of create new things and stuff like that and kind of delegate. So that's might fit in. Yeah.
We have the top two in common, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because I was trying to, with ruler and, trying to, being an expert, with virtual summits and list building and stuff like that, and always trying to, help people. That's kind of what we do with, virtual summit mastery, and that's what you do as well. So I think that one definitely makes sense as maybe the dominant one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, this has been awesome. I think people, if you're watching this and if you have any questions, drop it in the comments below. Leave your biggest takeaway too. Maybe, take this, sign up for this assessment and then you can leave a comment, which ones you are, and then we can kind of have a little conversation around this as well here and connect with obviously Jen on social media and anywhere else you want to, direct people to, or is that the best place to kind of get in touch with you as well?
Well, the best place to, have a conversation with me. I love that. I can't wait for you all to take it. And then, as Navid said, put it in the comments. And I want to go in there and support you as you get your reports, what that looks like, because that's one of my favorite things to do. I love to geek out on people's aim. And to find me, there's two places I like to play the most. The first is on my Facebook business page. You can find me at Jennifer Kem, Kem. Or on Instagram, jennifer.kem. You can follow me there as well. And then I put a lot of really cool stuff about archetypes over there. And I also have a podcast called Femfluence Radio. And I did an entire series actually on teaching archetypes over 4 sessions, and that might be additional for you to check out.
Awesome. We'll leave a link as well below the video here so you can check it out too. And, if you have any questions, as I said, let us know in the comments and take this assessment. Take the few minutes, 20 minutes or so, 20 or so, and actually do this and take action. That's kind of what it's all about here on these sessions as well. So thanks so much, Jen, for coming on here and sharing so much value with my audience.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was fun.